years. And first, before I forget, I want to thank our friends from APAC, Van and Sarah and their team, for helping out with this event. They've been great partners for us. Suburban Collection, of course, I'm not going to call everyone by name, but there's a bunch of folks here from Suburban who've been incredible supporters of the project and helping us find potential buyers and tenants and various things for the project. Obviously, they're in the business of exotic cars and the related businesses. My team is here, a handful of people, I'm not going to name everybody. And we got a few guests here I want to acknowledge. We have the 2014 Miss Michigan here, Elizabeth. And I don't know, I saw Matt Gibbs' name on the list. I don't know if he's here, but Matt Gibb is the Oakland County Assistant Oakland County Executive. So if you're here, welcome, thank you. I'm going to quickly describe or tell the story of how we got here today. I'm a car fanatic, grew up working on cars with my dad. He was a hot rodder on Woodward and built custom cars, so I was always in the garage working on the cars he built. And kind of took a different path, ended up in Los Angeles, went to law school and worked as an entertainment lawyer in the entertainment industry, and moved back here in '04. I wanted to raise my kids here, and saw this massive car scene. And I had a marketing company for several years here, and I was always fascinated by the fact you got the largest car scene in America, actually in the world, here in Metro Detroit, and no one's figured out how to monetize it, how to organize it, how to create a destination where people can really go and enjoy it. You've got Dream Cruise, the largest single-day car event in the world, and it's completely disorganized, and anyone and everyone can be there. And it's fun, but it's just not a cohesive event. And for sponsors and the car companies, they participate because they have to, but they really can't engage with customers in the way they'd like to. So that was really the basis for I said, how can you create an environment for both enthusiasts and the industry to enjoy the passion for cars as well as conduct business. So I did research and looked around the world and discovered that there's a variety of concepts out there in other markets, many in Europe and many of them being adopted here in the US. There were things I saw, racetracks and theme parks and museums and country club tracks, racetracks, and I kept coming across this thing called car condos. I didn't even know what a car condo was when I heard about it. And it was a storage solution that evolved out of several cities in Europe, because in Europe, many people don't have garages to begin with. So if you had a decent car, they needed a place to keep it. And what happens in these communities is communities get built around the idea of storage. And they don't become just storage facilities, they become communities of people with the same interest and passion, a place for them to enjoy their hobby of collecting cars, or whether you got one car or 50 cars, it's a place to really be with other people that have the same interests. And the garage has become more than just a garage. It becomes an entertainment space, a place to conduct business, a place to network, a place to work on a car. And it started to take off in the U.S. The largest project in the U.S. is in Minneapolis. It's called Auto Motorplex. They sold 150 private garages or car condos in the last 3.5 years. Minneapolis is a town with 4,000 classic, exotic, and muscle cars. We have 62,000 within an hour of here tonight. Way bigger than any other market, including Los Angeles. People say, well, Los Angeles is the market, it's got more cars. It's not even close. Los Angeles has about 13,000 classic, exotic, and muscle cars. So we're the biggest market by far. So I started to go down the path of looking at, can I build a car condo community? And quickly discovered that there's no property that was zoned or a city that would want this, especially on Woodward where I wanted to be. Royal Oak doesn't really like cars. They try to push cars out, which is kind of funny. Detroit wanted to do the project. A lot of people in Detroit wanted to do the project in Detroit. It just didn't work from a location perspective for where most of these vehicles reside normally. And couldn't find any property that was big enough. So kind of banging my head against the wall, and Matt here, who works with me, came in one day and said, there's this giant property on Woodward, just north of Bloomfield Hills in Pontiac. It's got a for sale sign on it. And I looked it up, and it was owned by the federal government, and it was part of the GM bankruptcy. And it was for sale, but you couldn't buy it. You had to pitch the government on your idea. And I didn't know any better, so I filled out the application. And all my friends that are in real estate are like, you'll never win this bid. You're competing against the biggest developers in the world, and you've never done any real estate before. So I pitched it simply as, I filled out this like 7,000-page form, and my headline was a car project on a car site in a car town. And when I went to talk to the people from the government, And I think it's Department of Justice was actually who controlled the trust. I said, this is not a casino in a car town, it's not a movie studio in a car town, it's not a prison in a car town, it's a car project in a car town. And they were like, we love it, you can have 87 acres of concrete in Pontiac, congratulations. So I started to go on the path. We had about a year and a half of timeline to close on the land, and spent a year and a half doing the diligence to see, is it feasible, will the city allow us to do what we wanted to do, which initially was just car condos. And then when I met with GM, Ford, and Chrysler, and various companies, the first thing they kept saying was, what about a track, what about a track? And I said, well, don't you all have proving grounds, and don't you have massive tracks that are in the area? And they said, that's reserved for engineering purposes. We need a place to entertain customers and clients and train our mechanics and have dealer events and launch vehicles and all kinds of things. And we can't do that on our proving grounds because those are confidential. You can't have the public come there. So the track became a viable opportunity. And then everyone said, you'll never get a track approved. There hasn't been a track approved in an urban area in America in 60 years. Nobody wants a track in their backyard. And Pontiac, because when I started this project, Pontiac had an emergency manager who was very creative, wanting to think out of the box in Pontiac and do interesting development. He was like, this is great, we can make this happen. It's in a phenomenal area of town. We see this as a gateway project to drive traffic into downtown Pontiac. The neighboring areas, we're worried about sound, and we better have some public hearings to make sure they're fine. So everything was approved. We even had public hearings about the track, and all the residents in the area were very supportive. This is not a racetrack, which is important. This is a performance track. It's enough. It's a place to enjoy your vehicle, but we're not going to have car against car racing. You won't have Indy and NASCAR type events. It's a mile-and-a-half performance track. You can basically do anything you want to do with your